on. Maybe we'll do it on your show, seeing how big that show is these days. I should probably be focused on that one. It has been, there's been something that, I've been thinking a lot about this, because obviously there's been this big cancellation attempt, primarily against you and Tucker, although by proxy.
Drive west, then, in 400 feet, turn right onto Villa Rica Highway.
Tucker was fired from Fox News. You were fired from the Daily Wire. Both went on to be much bigger after getting canned. And yet now there's this attempt again to cancel you. And we're all kind of wondering, from what? What would you even cancel them?
Turn right onto Villa Rica Highway, George 51.
I was very close friends with Joe Rogan when he was going through that major cancellation attempt in the 22 in the height of COVID.
Continue for 3 miles.
First one on his podcast after all that stuff really went down, and I was out doing shows with him, and I remember at the time having this feeling where all of them kind of hadn't admitted it yet. The corporate media hadn't admitted that Joe Rogan is the biggest thing in media. They did eventually after the 2024, but at the time it was so weird, because you're wait, Brian Stelter is trying to cancel Joe Rogan? Does he know? And so anyway, as Mark Levin is openly calling for you and Tucker's cancellation, and Dinesh D'Souza, people like this are openly calling, it is just funny because you're objectively right now, you and Tucker are the two biggest conservative political commentators. This is just undeniable. And so their plan right now is we want to cancel number one and number two. And it's just how do you get away with doing that when the people have already told you they're on their side, not yours?
Right.
What's it been like for you to just kind of watch this?
Well, yesterday was a fantastic day. I mean, to get the email from Podscribe, number one podcast in the world, and of course, I am humbled by it truly, because the audience is the reason. This truly was a free market response. And to go back and find the people who worked day in and day out to ruin my life. It wasn't like they just wanted me gone from the Daily Wire, which they got and they celebrated and effectively danced on my grave. It wasn't, they then were trying to get my speaking events canceled.
Do you have any concern about misleading the whole country? You make immediate and false statements about the victims, and you say it was a competitive process, and yet this contract went to a company that didn't exist 2 weeks before.
Every other channel covering this hearing today showed you what Kristi Noem said. We are going to show you something different. We are going to show you the specific legal tactic Adam Schiff, a former federal prosecutor, used to build a record against the Secretary of Homeland Security that her own legal team cannot walk back. Not because he yelled the loudest, not because he had the sharpest one-liner, because he used a technique prosecutors use before they file charges. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why Noem's answers today were more dangerous to her than anything she said outside that hearing room.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. We're probably looking at a whole tear-off, maybe even new governorship at this point.
Before you start planning a whole rebuild, just...
In 1 mile, turn left onto Paul Aiken Road.
To take the power of Trump away from doing unilateral wars without the Congress consent, which is the way the Constitution's actually written. But he has to actually launch a bill. He has to introduce a bill to make them uphold the Constitution. Because the president's not supposed, the only people who have the power to declare a war is the Congress. And Congress doesn't want to vote on it. But here's what Thomas Massie said.
Sustained war with Iran will not stabilize the region. It's already ignited the...
In a half mile, turn left onto Paul Aiken Road.
...of refugees into Europe and the United States. Iran is not Venezuela. The Ayatollah was not a president. He was a religious leader from a region notorious for radical Islamists. And the United States and Israel turned him into a martyr. And in the process of doing so, we've already expended billions of dollars, and more solemnly, 6 American families must now lay to rest their sons and daughters. And for what? This administration can't even give us a straight answer as to why we launched this preemptive war.
Turn left onto Paul Aiken Road.
Strike was imminent. Meanwhile, the Department of Defense conceded there was no evidence of an imminent Iranian strike. Some told us this war was about nuclear weapons, but 6 months ago, we were assured our last strike on Iran decimated their nuclear program.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Lazy Water Drive.
Secretary of State, who told the press that Israel forced our hand and dragged us into this war. Again. And that truth is the very reason why it is Congress that must decide war. If American lives are to be risked and American blood is to be shed, that decision must be debated and voted on by the representatives of the American people. And that debate is meant to be arduous. And that vote is meant to be hard.
Turn right onto Lazy Water Drive.
My colleagues don't want to go on record because we have a terrible track record
Yep.
of meddling in the Middle East. They don't want their name associated with this when it doesn't
In
turn out.
800 feet, 149 Lazy Water Drive, Dallas, Georgia 30157, USA will be on the left.
To be sent to combat without their vote. And to be clear, we are here to declare war today. All we're voting on is a war powers resolution to reassert the Constitution, that Congress must decide questions of war. And if Congress wants war, then the Speaker should hold a vote to declare it. Some say Congress authorizes war when we pay for it, when we pass the budget bill. Here's the problem. We haven't taken on the hard work of defining the mission for our sons and daughters who are going to fight. That's not in the budget bill. It never is. And to the men and women who are engaged in combat, I sincerely thank you, and I pray for your safety. It is for you that I wrote this resolution. It is for you that all of us are here on this floor working so hard to force this vote so that you will have a clear mission that you deserve, so that you will know when you achieve it, you can come home. And with that, I urge support for this resolution, and I yield back.
Boy, that's the kind of honesty that keeps a politician from the Oval Office. I'll tell you that. So he introduced a resolution that would say that the Congress has to vote on the war. And turns out the Senate Republicans just voted that down. Also, 4 Democrats. So they needed 4 Democrats, and they always get just enough Democrats. They get it's the rotating villain. You've heard about that.
Yes.
It used to be Joe Manchin,
Yes.
right? And then sometimes it would be Kristen Sinema, and sometimes, but there it is. Senate Republicans vote down legislation. Well, let's listen. Senate Republicans voted down blah, 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 blah. The legislation known as a War Powers Resolution failed on a 47 to 53 vote tally. The vote fell mostly along party lines. The Republicans, Rand Paul, voted in favor, and Democratic Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania voted against it.
Drive north.
You mean the puppet of Israel voted against this? Okay. The War Powers Resolution gave lawmakers an opportunity to demand congressional approval before any further attacks are carried out. The vote forced them to take a stand on a war shaping the fate of the U.S. military members, countless other lives, and the future of the region. Today, every senator, every single one, will pick a side, said Chuck Schumer. Do you stand with people who are exhausted with forever wars in the Middle East, or stand with Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth as they bumble us head first into another war? Now, Chuck Schumer already knows that the vote is going to go in Israel's favor, which he's allowed to say. That's why he's allowed to say this stuff. So he already knows the outcome of this vote before they have it. He knows how it's going to go. And so that's why he's allowed to posture. That's what this is. Because
Drive southeast on Lazy Water Drive. Then, in 800 feet, turn left onto Paul Aiken Road. Drive northwest on Lazy Water Drive.
Senate Republican leadership said during the debate that GOP senators were sending a message that Democrats are wrong for forcing a vote on the War Powers Resolution. Democrats would rather obstruct Donald Trump than obliterate Iran's national nuclear program. Holy cow. Wow. So, guess what? The House also rejected it. So Thomas Massey's resolution, House narrowly rejects Iran War Powers Resolution in test of Trump's threat. So that's it. The House
Drive southeast on Lazy Water Drive. Then, in 800 feet, turn left onto Paul Aiken Road.
In Congress over the rapidly widening conflict that is reordering U.S. priorities at home and abroad. It's the second vote in as many days after the Senate defeated a similar measure. Lawmakers are confronting the sudden reality of representing wary Americans in wartime and all that entails. With lives lost, dollars spent, and alliances...
Drive south on Lazy Water Drive. Then turn left onto Paul Aiken Road.
While the tally in the House, 212 to 219, was expected to be tight, the outcome provided a clarifying...
In a quarter mile, turn left onto Villa Rica Highway.
The U.S.-Israel military operation and Trump's rationale for bypassing Congress, which alone has the power to declare war. Meaning, okay.
Turn left onto Villa Rica Highway, Georgia 61.
Failed in a vote of 212 to 219 with just 2 Republican, Thomas Massey and Warren Davidson of Ohio, supporting it. 4 Democrats joined the Republicans in a post so they get just as
Continue
many
for 4 miles.
So, Henry Cuellar of Texas, Jared Golden of, is that Maine, and Greg Landsman of Ohio, and Juan Vargas of California. They joined the Republicans to stop the resolution to stop Trump from bombing Iran. They always get just enough Democrats. That's called the ratchet effect. Congress failed to reassert its war power. No, I don't think that's called the ratchet effect. Congress failed to reassert its war powers over the executive, even though that's called the rotating villain. That's what that's called. Congress.
It's the audacity of hope.
Yeah.
Because that word is, you hope it'll happen, and when it doesn't, you just keep hoping.
Yeah. Congress failed to reassert its war powers over the executive, even though the Trump administration hasn't made a coherent case for why the war was launched and is escalating the conflict with no clear timeline or goals. So far, more than 1,000 Iranian civilians have been killed by U.S. and Israeli airstrikes, including 160 7 to 12-year-old girls that were in a school that we bombed. So here is Tom Massey. The Iran war powers resolution narrowly failed, but we put everyone on record. We're being told this military action could last months. That's the exact circumstance in which the founders intended for Congress to authorize war, but sadly, we've now abdicated that responsibility. That's exactly. And here, here's want to hear an asswipe? Here's Senator Kevin Cramer. He's angry that they forced this vote. He didn't want people to vote on whether Congress should step up and do their constitutional duty. Let's listen.
Fortunately for America, we once again rejected it, and I think we always will. It's a terrible time to bring up a resolution like this while our troops are, here we are, 4 days in, while our troops are in harm's way fighting for the freedom of the region, for our country.
Fighting for freedom of the region and our country. You know how Iran has been oppressing us. Oh my God.
Our very good friend and ally Israel, obviously, and at a time like this, we would try to put forward a resolution saying that no, you shouldn't be doing it. It's bad.
Yeah, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't actually try to institute the Constitution right now. You shouldn't actually do that. Why are you doing that? Why are you trying to
think scientifically when he looks like the egg-shaped scientist from the Muppet Show?
House of Representatives blocks war powers resolution. Funny how they always have just enough votes to stop these things. Yep, it is funny. They have, that's called the rotating villain. And so now those four guys are going to be the villain. And but I'm going to guess they're in safe districts and they don't have to worry about re-election and all that stuff. Okay, if you'd like to hear my jokes about this, come see me in San Antonio, Albuquerque, Houston, Dallas, Salt Lake City. We'll be at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. Only 70 tickets for
In
that.
1 mile, bear left onto Vernoy-Aiken Road.
Link for those tickets. So get your tickets fast.
This is what would happen to you if you took 2 capsules of Brasilia oregano oil and black seed oil every day for 2.
Do you think you're the devil himself? I know, but I do have a good mirror.
This is going to be a heavy video. I do not recommend that you watch it with kids. We've already covered that in the Epstein files. There's receipts showing that babies were sold to Epstein.
We have this woman who sends a photo of her baby to Epstein.
In a half mile, bear left onto Vernoy-Aiken Road.
After receiving an unbelievable sum in her bank account, and that she's never seen such a number in her bank account. Harvard professor Martin Nowick emailed Ghislaine in 2002 to thank her for her hospitality, and out of nowhere said, "I'm so happy I didn't kill anybody," referring to their visit.
If you haven't seen that video, it's here and you can watch that maybe after this one. But in this video, I want to focus on, as I've looked more into what is inside of the Epstein files, there is
bear left onto Vernoy-Aiken Road.
Esoteric, dark stuff that he was interested in. In this video, we're going to focus on some of that. And honestly, for me, it raises a lot of questions. So, for example, what is the connection between Epstein and Deepak Chopra?
In a quarter mile, turn left.
Was with LSD when I was 17, so I can honestly say that it was my first kind of excursion into other dimensions. When you use these substances that have been used for thousands of years as part of a ritual and under shamanic supervision, they shift,
turn left.
They trap your energy, they release your energy along certain lines.
You are a really, I think, great spokesman for this non-local...
In 500 feet, 237 Vernoy-Aiken Road up 304, Dallas, Georgia 30157, USA will be on the left.
Citizen of this planet, or am I a cosmic citizen?
From Deepak Chopra to Jeffrey Epstein, subject non-local study. Deepak Chopra is connecting Epstein with this doctor here, doing experiments on autistic kids to see what kind of special abilities can be unlocked. So what you're looking at here are these two girls copying the behaviors of the boy. All three are blindfolded.
Good. Nice. And then notice something different with your body.
A caravan trip has been really wonderful in meeting people that are stage 3. You'll see this come up often. These are people who are developing a different perspective of reality and discovering the gifts that they have. Also, in rallying others who have a strong interest in this area. Among the new projects emerging include a base to use science-based approach and Eastern practices to help sort these stage 3 people out. So again, you have a mixture of Eastern practices and scientific approaches. And another file here, they're talking about these RF signals. It says these transmitters send a signal of RF audio and video that are used to make people receive the signal in a way that interferes with their central nervous system. These transmitter people use extensive conditioning techniques to make people experience tactile, auditory, and visual hallucinations. It is used extensively to molest children.
Classic stage 3, a young girl who was traumatized through sexual abuse as a young child and is now gradually developing special and supernatural abilities, can sound pretty crazy until you understand all of these ancient religions, all these ancient mystery schools for which Jeffrey Epstein clearly, pulls a lot of his beliefs from.
And why is Epstein's house just riddled with this bizarre symbology?
And up on the ceiling, a hand-painted sky filled with animals, constellations, and zodiac symbols staring down at whatever had taken place below. The sculpture was positioned directly in front of it, so what you saw when you looked up that staircase wasn't just a woman on a rope. It was a bride, veiled, barefoot, looking down, descending from the heavens, falling from paradise like a scene from a Renaissance painting of an angel cast out of heaven.
Now, this is where it gets almost unbelievably bizarre and dark, and it reads honestly like science fiction. I cannot believe this is actually real, and it, at least for me, causes me to step back and ask, like, what hypothesis or what paradigm actually explains his interest in these topics? Like, what is actually going on here?
Epstein was obsessed with transhumanism, the idea of using technology and genetic engineering to create superior human beings. He told multiple scientists about his plan to turn his Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, a 7,500-acre compound with its own airstrip, helipad, and a 26,000 square foot mansion miles from anywhere, into a breeding compound where he would impregnate up to 20 women at a time.
With one of the victims writing about it in detail in her diary, controlled all by Jeffrey, and go to New Mexico? What in the hell? He is now controlling everything. Superior gene pool? Why me? I miss the person I was before I was made into what feels as a human incubator.
Here they're talking about designer babies, and he says this gets us out of the self-funded garbage biology phrase to the first live birth of a human designer baby and possibly a human clone within 5 years. Once we reach the first birth, everything changes and the world will never be the same again. Now, another email that I found just extraordinarily bizarre.
To ever join the military in my family. I knew that I wanted to go back to school and produce a big name. So
was this one from Jeffrey Epstein to Lawrence Krauss. Lawrence, can you pin an article on how to debunk claims? Alien abductions, for example. Many people share similar stories, ghosts, out-of-body experience. I'd like it to include some of the criticisms that haven't been brought, i.e. 10 years of attached at all.
Epstein drive east, then turn left.
Similarities between alien abductions, ghosts, and out-of-body experiences.
How does that make any sense? And
Turn left onto Verneuil-Aiken Road.
With any of this is crazy. All
absolutely
is a connection other people have thought all of
Drive east, then turn left onto Verneuil-Aiken Road.
in terms of the cultural conversation. Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto US 278.
Unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Turn right onto US 278, Georgia 6.
He gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake.
Trump then posted, based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant
In a half mile, turn left onto Nathan Dean Boulevard.
releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and unidentified flying objects.
Dr. Greer, I know that you have essentially written a speech for the president to deliver if he decides to do this. I want to quote just the first line. My fellow Americans and all citizens of Earth, it has come to our attention that extraterrestrial civilizations...
Turn left onto Nathan Dean Boulevard, Georgia 61.
Could you see President Trump being the first president to step to the podium and deliver a speech like that?
I do, and apparently his daughter-in-law believes so as well.
But you're privy to the other side of it, and he could come to a podium and say that aliens are real, they are visiting us, and they have been visiting us for millennia. Something to that effect, correct?
Correct.
Now, one of the weirdest things about aliens being talked about in the Epstein files at all, and then all of a sudden, just weeks later, all this stuff about aliens coming out,
Well, then.
is actually the messaging that people who have these abduction experiences get from the aliens. There's a particular unified worldview that the aliens present to the people in these abduction experiences.
These alternative notions about how...
Sorry, y'all. I'm going to end this stuff and I'll be back.